Everybody, Ralph Havens here. Happy Friday if you're watching live. And I can tell I'm in the matrix energetic space, the matrix energetics morphic field, because my computer's acting funny. And one of the things that Richard talks about, Richard Bartlett, the developer of Matrix Energetics, and I'm super grateful for him and everything he's all about. And one of the things he talks about and jokes about is that computers sometimes act funny around him, don't work, technology acts funny. And so of course that's a belief system, belief system. So this morning I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a matrix energetics session and talk about that a bit. And I wanted to post it on my Facebook live, but it just wasn't working. And it usually always works. So maybe it's the matrix energetics field. I don't know. But here's the thing. Let's see. Why would it be disabled? It's still acting really funny. Oh my goodness. Thanks a lot, Richard. Okay, so here's the thing. There's the thing when people ask me sometimes, when do you use matrix energetics? How do you use it? How do you do it? How do you access it? What are you doing? How come you're not using matrix energetics right now? And the thing is, Jen, my wife, when people ask her, she says, we are always under the umbrella of matrix energetics. It's never not on. It's always on. And yet it sometimes looks like we're doing something. And so here's the thing. We're going to play with something really big, really fun, really cool. I'm going to show you something, and you can have a change even from the chair you're sitting in right now. And if you did have a change, would you notice it? Would you notice it? Or would you autocorrect it? And by that, I mean, would you just discount any change you may or may not have seen? Would you not notice it? Would you not look? Would you attribute it to just chance, or just like, oh, that's weird, or it couldn't have been from that? So we miss so much stuff when we look around and see stuff, and most of the time we're just in our head thinking, right? And so we're not really noticing. We're not stopping and noticing. We're like in the past or in the future, or in our thoughts or in our worries or in our concerns, or trying to figure out why something's not working. And so we're kind of anywhere except right here. And but so here's the funny thing we're going to do. We're going to you know how it's been said in the Bible and probably other places, to enter the kingdom of heaven you must be as a child. And so what does that mean? And so when I look at Ben and Baden, my two boys, they make believe. They play make believe, but they don't do it. They do it for real. They do it for real. They play make believe. So we're going to play with something today, and there's different things. There's something called a morphic field, and what that means, it's I think it might have been coined first by Rupert Sheldrake, and his TED Talk, I believe, got banned, even though it's at the cutting edge of science. But it disrupts all the things we think about in the physical sciences, not in the quantum and particle physics ways of going that line up more with spiritual traditions from the past, the ancient ones. But a morphic field is like an operating system. It's a belief system. It's a way that we think about the world. So there's like the democratic morphic field, and there's the Republican morphic field, and there's the Libertarian and the Green Party, and there's the morphic field of ancient Chinese medicine and Qigong and Tai Chi and martial arts. There's the morphic field of online entrepreneurs. There's the morphic field of Tony Robbins. There's the morphic field of Richard Bartlett. There's the morphic field of me. There's the morphic field of you. There's the morphic field of Bill Gates. There's a morphic field around vaccines. There's many morphic fields. There's a morphic field around a guy named Nassim Haramein. And if you don't know him, he's well worth looking up. Go to brave.com, download that browser, go to DuckDuckGo, use that search engine. That way you're not censored like Google is doing now and Chrome is doing. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the ideas around physics, and then we're going to play. We're going to play make believe. And you can see a change for yourself and notice what you notice. Does that sound good? All right. So there's something back when they were developing, the physicists were developing the ideas and you're doing the mathematics around quantum physics. It was coming into being, I believe, in the 50s or so. And they were running into a problem. And what they were doing was doing lots of math to figure out how much energy, how much information, how much mass, how much stuff was in a cubic centimeter of space. So of the emptiness. So, in the atom, you have the nucleus, right? The proton and the neutron, and they're supposedly spinning around in there. And then they're the stuff. And then you've got space, a lot of space. And then you have electrons spinning around. And they were finding that these electrons were sometimes there and sometimes they weren't. They weren't there till you looked. And then when you weren't looking, they were gone. And so it was like, what is going on with these electrons that are popping in and out of existence? Depending on how you looked at them, they acted differently. And then, so they were doing the math on the space. And what they came up with something that was confounding them and they actually ended up calling it nasty infinity. It's in the actual physics textbooks. And I think there's a book called Gravity or Gravitation or something, a giant book, and it's in there. And the reason they called it nasty infinity was because when they left that in their equations of how much energy and information and mass was in nothing, that infinity was messing up all their math. So instead, I'm going to go a little bit into physics because it's really cool and it sets the whole space up for what might change for you in this moment. And so what they did was they took, what's the smallest thing we know the universe does? And it's a photon, a little dot of light. And the distance across one photon is called a Max Planck's constant, or it's the time that it takes for a photon to cross that distance. Max Planck constant. It's a certain number. And then they said, okay, in this cubic centimeter of space, how many of these Max Planck's constants can we fit into this thing? And they came up with a giant number, giant number. And they figured out all the math and they said, this is how much energy and information and space is in the vacuum, in the nothing, in the space. Now that sounds kind of cool, except that they totally emitted infinity, which is not even a real number, it's a concept. My son Ben tells me that. And they eliminated infinity. And came up with their own scientific big number. But then they had a problem because these protons, if you can imagine a proton is positively charged and positively charged, if they were magnets, positive and positive, they wouldn't stick together, right? They would repel each other. Yet these atoms, they're together in the nucleus, spinning around. So how is that? So what they did was they came up with a really big number of how much energy would be required to keep these positively charged protons together. They made up another number. And they called it dark energy. It's like, we don't know what it is, but it's got to be there because how else could these two protons stick together? So you can start to see where it starts to fall apart, the nature of reality, the nature of what's actually real. Like they're making up a big number and instead of using infinity, and they're making up another big number to explain this phenomena of two protons positively charged not flying apart. And so Nassim Haramein decided not to omit that. And he got kicked out of a lot of schools early on because he just kept questioning it. It's like, it doesn't make sense. So long story short, he basically spent a lot of time in his van doing math, and somehow found a physicist that was already retired, so she wouldn't ruin her career. And she did a lot of the math with him for him. And they came up with a study, a paper, peer-reviewed paper in the journals in physics called the Schwarzschild proton. And what he did with the math was he found that there's actually infinite energy in one proton. So infinity in one dot of the universe. Now we're still talking about you. So in the other dot, there's also infinity. And in every dot in you and in the universe, in every single little dot, there's infinity. It's kind of like Wi-Fi. I can turn on Wi-Fi and get all the movies, all the pictures, all the emails, all the cool stuff, cell phones, messages. If I just have the right code, I can get it all right here, but I can also get it all right here. And also get it all right over in Hong Kong or across the border, as long as we have a Wi-Fi cell phone signal. So there's something that appears to be an energy system that is unexplained so far, that's transcendent of space and time. The past, the future, the possibilities, the parallel universes, the dimensions, all the sorts of stuff we have no idea of. There's something there that seems to be informing our observation of what looks like reality. And so you can play with this if you like. It's what children do, right? When they play for real. They don't play and make it up. And when they're in it and they're in a cardboard box and it's the space shuttle, it's the space shuttle. It's not like a cardboard box. Now, when they're done with it, it's a cardboard box again, right? But in the moment, it's a space shuttle. It's useful. It can take you to faraway places. And if your logical adult brain starts going, oh, that's dumb, come on, that's awesome, because that's what our logical left brain, adult brain does. It sees doors into infinity and it says, no, it can't be that. Yeah, not that, that's dumb. Can't be that, I'm not gonna play, not gonna play. And it's okay, it's your right. It's like, it's what we do as adults. Let go of all those childish things, right? But what if for a moment we could play and we could make something? And what if for a moment we could believe it? Not kind of believe it, not an affirmation, not like a vision board, not like a to-do list. We could actually believe it to our core. Because in every dot is infinity. So what part of infinity do you want to touch? So we're going to play with a few different morphic fields. And then you can notice what's different for you right now. So warning, if you don't want your life to change, turn this off now. Oh my goodness. But if you want to open up to something that may be useful for you, hang in here, and here we go. So we're going to just start to play. I won't even explain it. So we're going to go to all is well, so be it. Ancient Chinese wisdom. We're going to go to matrix energetics magic. We're going to go to 101 miracles. Che Lei Center. We're going to go to Jining Qigong. The known and the unknown. We're going to go to some things that are even unknown. But maybe to some people they're known. We're going to go to you are infinitely powerful. instant miracles. Peace process. Letting go. Surrender to the feelings. Living the questions. Trust. Done. By the time you've asked, I've answered. It's only for them that I even bother to say, Lazarus, get up and walk. Slaughterhouse 5, Kurt Vonnegut. Enlighten up. Expert secrets. Think and grow rich. Let's bring in some Nike. Cortez. And now we're going to turn it just so for you right now. So there's something called the black swan. I wonder if I want to talk about that right now. Might save that for later. All right, you guys. So let me know what you notice. And you might want to notice what you're noticing and what you're adjusting for and discounting and trying real hard not to notice. If you were to notice something today that was useful for you, what might that be? Okay. Yeah, it's a space shuttle until it's a cardboard box. All right, you guys. Have a great Friday. See you later.